You're listening to the BBM Global Network with 25 years in broadcast audio and video production. Our passionate team creates content and marketing for the world of Internet Talk Radio. If you've got a passion, come join us at bbmglobalnetwork.com. The BBM Global Network. Your voice is now heard.
Learn how to use the power of your mind and the power of your words to create peace, power, and prosperity in your one precious life. Discover your unique purpose on our planet and how you can best serve. So now, let's learn how we can be peaceful, powerful, and prosperous.
Oh, good afternoon. This is DUNCAN McCLINTOCK with Planetary, Peace, Power, and Prosperity Legacy Foundation TV show. And I am here, I have the pleasure of being here with SHEILA RIVEST, founder and CEO or director of the Carol Rivest Memorial Foundation. SHEILA, welcome to Planetary, Peace, Power, and Prosperity.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We've had a lot of history because we've known each other for 50 years, 57 years. Both all your life.
Yes.
And in that whole lifetime, we've gone through a lot. I mean, I know you've gone through a huge amount, especially with what what happened to your sister. The aspects of, I guess, the toxic relationships we have, or that are built in life as we grow, as we try to navigate life's path. Is usually fomented or created within our family environment when we first grew up. Let me, I won't get too deeply into that because I want you to talk about, first of all, your foundation, what brought that about, not too deeply into that, but your ideas about relationships and communication and how we tend to not communicate in the most important part of times. So if you can give me a quick synopsis of that, what your life purpose is.
Well, I grew up in, I'll make a long story brief, just to get a little idea of where I'm coming from. I grew up with the white picket fence, so to speak, family. What people didn't know was behind closed doors was some domestic violence, some toxic masculinity, and poor coping skills, impaired communication. And my sister Carol, who was the middle daughter, was in a toxic relationship from the age of 17 to 22, which ended in domestic violence. Domestic violence homicide. So she was killed by her domestic partner. He was also the father of her young son, who was 3 years old. And for the longest time, due to my own toxicity in my way of coping, I did not know how to handle this. And, the rage, the shame, the guilt, the lack of self-love, there was no real good communication skills or coping skills in my family to really get through this. As I grew older and went through therapy on my own, I realized there is another way. There is another way of life and being less reactive. So then I decided to form the Carol Rivest Memorial Foundation in Carol's memory. She was a bright, beautiful, fun-loving, and smart woman. And if this could happen to someone like that, it could happen to anyone.
Very well said. And it does happen all the time. And unfortunately, it's, like you said, behind closed doors most times.
Right.
And it's hard to express the pain that is created within those types of relationships. And it all comes down, in my opinion, it comes down to fear. Fear is the base of that reactionary situation, relationship. And it's fear from both sides.
Exactly.
From the man's point of view, I mean, I can talk from a man's point of view because I am a man. It's the fear of being judged as not good enough. Mm-hmm. It's a fear of being ridiculed. It's a fear of, there is a whole litany of fears that roll through us as human beings, because I think we all have those types of fears. And it's those reactions to those fears that creates this toxicity. And it's, as you mentioned, allowing her, finding that way to be able to cope with these thoughts that fly through us at all times, and allowing to learn to be present to what's actually happening around us, what's flowing through life, because this life we live is absolutely beautiful.
There is so much to life, and there's so much to be thankful for. There's a way of life that is non-reactive, and it doesn't mean it's non-caring, but I feel like in a relationship, each one wants to be valued, mm-hmm. and wants to be heard and wants to be loved. Yeah. And for some reason, there are triggers that the other partner may not know about. Mm-hmm. So a small thing like not emptying the dishwasher, that kind of thing, can trigger into something more if someone is feeling unloved, unheard, not validated.
Right.
And the fear of, who knows. I've been reading this book that Oprah and another psychologist, Bruce Perry, wrote. It's What Happened to You, mm-hmm. instead of saying what's wrong with you. I feel we so many times, like you mentioned about judgment, judge people. Mm-hmm. Like, look at that kid, he's rowdy, and he's going to be trouble, and we label.
Exactly.
We apply labels to people, and then the child believes in the label. And in this book, What Happened to You, it's another way of looking at it. Like, instead of saying that kid's nothing but trouble, look at him and say, what happened to him?
Yep. And learning how to validate that growth, that life path. I mean, we all have different life paths. And within that life path, certain things happen to us, as you said. And be able to validate that and be able to appreciate that in each of us. And actually the beauty in that process of nurturing and creating as human being, we are all unique. We all have different paths. We've all walked a different path.
Exactly.
And it's learning to accept those differences and be able to see each other as who we really are down deep. It's a beautiful thing to do. I mean, to be able to take steps to allow others to be who they are, because it's wonderful, it's beautiful.
Right. And so many people are looking for validation
Mhm.
and from outside validation instead of really growing within, because the validation, the self-love, the true self is within, and finding that true self and being proud of who you are, being okay with who you are, and not allowing other people's words to validate what you're saying. And even growing up, there are false words that you hear, and in your head it can repeat. And so retraining your words to yourself is huge. And there is so much help when people are aware of what they need, but it takes a lot to be aware.
Yes, it does.
I feel awareness that there is a way to be non-reactive, non-explosive, and non-judgment. And the first non-judgment is not judging oneself.
Very well said. It is key. I mean, it's one of the things, like Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity is founded on inner peace and learning to understand yourself, to see yourself, to appreciate yourself. And of course, that helps to go and appreciate others. And what it does also, it helps to build that inner power, that sense of wholeness, who you really are, and how you can express that to others in a way that's not combative, that it's kind of like a power with kind of dynamic instead of a power against. It's not trying to be better than somebody else. It's not trying to be more than someone else. It's being with someone else.
And walking with, I know you like to walk, so walking with intention. When you do something, what is your intention? I went to text someone the other day something, and I said, wait a minute, what is my intention of telling her this? Is it something that I'll get a reaction from? Just the intention of the action.
Yeah.
And thinking before reacting.
Right. And it's more than just words. I mean, words are they're key to communication, of course, but there are so many other aspects of communication that are explicitly important. In other words, just the body reaction, your facial expressions, and anything like a smile. A smile can bring life and light to someone, just like that. Beautiful.
Exactly. And it can start with the way you wake up in the morning. Waking up and appreciating life, where and knowing, okay, I can move today, I'm going to take my walk, I'm going to pet my dog, and not if you're looking at
other.
Uh-huh.
Gonna hug my significant other.
Right. Yes. Right. And even realizing some days, saying, what would I want? And I sometimes will give someone something that I would need to hear in that situation, how I would want.
Okay. And I agree. I mean, it's that communication we talked about there. You talked about that earlier. It's that communication, be able to be open about what you need, be open to what the others need, and be able to understand how it works together. So anyway, it's been wonderful having this quick chat with you and we're going to take a break right now. This is Duncan McCLINTOck, Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity TV show with Bold Brave Media. And this is also streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. So look forward to seeing you in a couple of minutes.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Oh, welcome back to Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. I am honored to be joined with SHEILA RIVEST, and we'll talk about toxic masculinity. If we want to have a little opportunity to be able to express what your point of view is about how men grow or don't grow. So,
I feel that men and young boys are put in a category at a young age where they're more than, and I'm not talking like, I'm not going to get into women's rights at this point. I'm talking about the toxic masculinity, about, men are definitely in general stronger, they're larger, not all of them, but the majority. But I'm talking about emotional growth and emotional toxicity, which I was thinking how when a woman has a family and all of a sudden the father passes away unexpectedly, and many people look at it could be a 10-year-old son and say, well, you're the man of the house now. What does that project to a 10-year-old who should be enjoying his time as a 10-year-old without responsibility? I mean, sure, I'm not talking chores or, I think kids should have little jobs at home and take care of themselves and accountability. This is about taking on a role to protect, to watch over their mother, it puts a big strain on a child's mentality to have to take responsibility of an adult. So I'm thinking of even just words that society has given to so many young men. Boys will be boys. That's another one where they are excused for certain behaviors. And then they have expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do. We all have expectations as young men, and it's endemic. I mean, it's all within our advertising. We're bombarded with it on TV, and even when I was growing up, I mean, I grew up before TV. Actually, TVs were around, but I never had one in my house. But I learned it from my peers.
Yes.
And there's competition, and the men, competition was the ultimate thing. You played football, you played baseball, you played basketball. You tried to capture the imagination of the most beautiful woman around.
Yep.
Had nothing to do with connecting on a personal or interpersonal level. It's all about
Get
conquering.
the best car. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Conquer and,
Yeah.
get the best car,
Yep.
wear the, best clothes, be the athlete, be strong. But when it comes to emotions,
Yeah.
you learn, maybe open the door for someone and be polite. But when it comes to real emotions, dealing with rejection,
Right.
the men had no tools,
No.
in when I was growing up. And that's what's happened with my sister when she decided to leave. There was no tools for him to express the pain that he was feeling,
Right.
from the threat of losing his girlfriend or the threat of losing his manhood. I think there are so many stereotypes for men. And like I said, that goes to different ways. They're not held accountable for some things, but then other things, their expectations are high.
Yeah.
But do not whine about your feelings. Do not cry about
Definitely not.
your feelings. So all of this is held internally. Is my perspective. This is like we talk. This is my perspective of the male, is holding in all that. Where is it going to come out?
Absolutely, and it comes out at the most opportune and most inappropriate times.
Right.
And it usually comes out in a fiery way.
Yep. There's rage, aggression.
Yes.
Acting out with alcohol, drugs, sexually, trying to take their power back, if they feel that they're losing in the race, so to speak.
Yeah, that's absolutely, you're right on the nose. And that's all the things that we as men go through. I mean, is it everybody? No. I mean, we're lucky. There's some people who are lucky to have teachers. And teachers could be anyone. It could be a teacher. It could be a pastor. It could be a parents.
Right.
It could be an older sibling. It could be a neighbor. Well, and it's, who knows where it comes from, but not everybody ends up with that toxicity. I went through it all. I went through every aspect of what you talked about. Yeah. And it's been, well, I've been lucky. I've always had an opportunity to be nurtured by nature. I've allowed myself to be nurtured by nature. And it's saved my life.
In what aspect did you, or should I ask, what age did you start to realize? No, I mean, if we're having a conversation, so.
I know. If we talk about what age I mean, I've looked back at my life and I've always been in connection with nature. I mean, I remember back when I was 6 years old, playing hide and seek in the woods behind my house.
Yes.
And there's awesome woods. And having this millipede crawl on my arm. And I wasn't ever afraid of it or anything like that. And I was just watching it, fascinated by it. And so I've always had that connection there, but there's always other things. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But anyway, we're talking with SHEILA RIVEST, founder and director of Carol Rivest Memorial Foundation. We'll be back in a very short time. We're talking on Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity TV show and Bold Brave Media.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Oh, welcome back. I'm visiting with SHEILA RIVEST, the founder and director of Carol Rivest Memorial Foundation. We are Planetary Peace, Power, Prosperity, and working with Gold Wave Media. And we were talking about when I first became aware of basically myself and my connection to nature, and how it helped me to be nurtured, I guess, and a nurturedness of nature. Like I said, as I was talking about before, when you took a break, I've kind of always been aware, but it's been a transitory or very transitory type of awareness. And it's only been when I became aware of being aware, which is... It is. That's what it is. Yeah. Aware that I'm aware of things. And it's funny, once you become aware of being aware, fear goes away because there's nothing to be afraid of. It's
exactly.
Yeah. And anyway, that's when I became aware of being aware. I have no idea when it happened. As many years ago, but it's been a transition. And speaking of transitions, you help people. I mean, I want to talk to you a little bit about what you do with the Hampton County Correctional Facility in Ludlow, Mass. To talk a little bit about.
Yes, pre-COVID, I was going to, I was the guest speaker at Hampton County Correctional Facility, and I would speak to the people that were incarcerated, and there was an accountability program. So it talks about the ripple effect, the cause and effect of an action. So I go in and I discuss what happened with Carol and my sister Carol, and even her boyfriend who took her life. And I discuss the effect that it had not only on myself, their son, my family, the society. Carol was 22 when it happened, and imagine all the friends of hers were 22-year-olds. Mm-hmm. The friends of his were 22 years old. So it's a lot to go through, and it's a lot to grasp. And I speak to them about choices, being non-reactive, understanding what has happened in their lives that could account for behaviors, and that there is a way out. There is a way of changing behaviors, and to keep working at it. I've had several times some of the men and females that are incarcerated have said, I've come to listen to you talk 3 times already, and I learned something new about myself each time. So, and it's a program where the first time they are mandated, but not 3 times. So
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm a real person. It really happened in my family. And I discuss the hurt, the pain. I never want anyone to have to go through the pain of losing a family member in such a way. Or, I know that things happen, accidents happen, illnesses happen, but for someone to take that choice of, I'm going to take her life today, at 22 years old, is just a I don't want to even the last 4 words, but a tragic way to express how you're feeling.
Yeah. And so you probably, well, not obvious, but I assume that you speak to them about ways of coping, ways of learning to express themselves and communicate more effectively when it comes to reactionary emotions.
Yes, and I talk about recognizing behaviors, the behaviors of jealousy, the behaviors of control, the behavior of feeling not unloved.
Right.
We've all felt shame, guilt, embarrassment, rejection, but we all also have a choice as how we respond to that. And I feel if we respond with love for the other person, that is, if you've loved this person and then now they decide they no longer want to be with you, I know that it's hurts and it's hard, but if you love that person and yourself enough, it's okay. And you want what's best for them.
Right.
And I think today it is a mean society where instant gratification, people don't have the tools to recognize what's happening, to be patient. I mean, there's a lot involved with all these emotions and all these different people in society, that we all come from different backgrounds, we all come from different issues, but can't we all realize we're human? We all breathe the same, we breathe in, we breathe out to breathe. And to stop the judgment, the fear, the anger. I don't know what the answer is though, Duncan. I wish the answer was that we could be like Bewitched and wiggle our nose and everybody would be kind. No.
That might date yourself and myself, because I understood what you said. I agree. I mean, it's hard. I mean, do we start in the school system? Where do we start to help others understand what's going on when their emotions rise up to the surface? Where do we start? We can talk about that in the next segment. We're going to take a break, and this is Duncan McCLINTOCK for Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. And we're talking with SHEILA Riveст, founder and director of Carol Riveст Memorial Foundation. We'll be back in a couple minutes. We're talking on Roll Wave Media, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook.
The opiate epidemic has reached crisis levels, and with so many families affected by addiction, opiate-related drug overdoses, and death, the time is now to have a real constructive conversation about addiction that could lead to better prevention, treatment, and recovery. Alan Charles, author and keynote speaker on drug abuse and prevention, presents The Alan Charles Show. Alan brings a message of hope, sharing his unbelievable story of surviving a 24-year addiction to cocaine and highlights from his memoir, Walking Out the Other Side, an addict's journey from loneliness to life. His raw honesty and courageous heart breaks the stigma of addiction and offers a unique perspective into the mind of an addict. Join Alan each week as he brings his listeners to a true understanding of the grip of addiction. It is only with this understanding that we can begin to heal. The Alan Charles Show, Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network. Have you ever felt like no one is listening, or you're not getting the honest attention you deserve? Do you even know the kind of attention you want or need? You are not alone. Alice Aspen March is here to help. Thanks to Alice, through her epiphany and research over the word attention, there are solutions to the attention dilemma. Worldwide audiences have been enthralled and engaged for over 40 years with her visionary and pioneering observations. The kind of attention we get and give is vital to improving our lives and society. Alice and her weekly guests review game-changing insights for transforming and improving our understanding of attention, providing techniques for creating healthier and empowering behavior. Get a new perspective on a mainstream word. Tune into Why Our Attention Matters for fresh and thought-provoking conversations every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on boldbravemedia.com and the TuneIn Radio app.
Oh, okay. I need to just unplug myself. Welcome back to Planetary's Peace, Power, and Prosperity. We were speaking with SHEILA RIVEST, and, well, we were talking about kind of we're talking about children education and a way to be able to help them to learn about communication and learn about how to express themselves to what is going on within them. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yes, I have the Carol Rivers Memorial Foundation and the Educational Resources for Children in Enfield have became partners, and we're doing a curriculum for the elementary school students. We're doing a kindness project. In light of people just, either they're talking politics or having the news on, and parents are, judgmental in the home. I'm not blaming people. I'm just saying, this is what some kids are experiencing, mm-hmm. and it's confusing for them. And so you live what you learn. And we've had the kindness project where we are building. They had the Eagle Scouts build a bridge, and they're starting with Henry Barnard School, which Carol and I attended, and they're going to Prudence Crandall and other Enfield, Connecticut schools, and they're doing a kindness curriculum, and it's teaching about accepting others. If you see someone having a bad day, how to be kind, how to ask someone if they want to be their friend. And then they will cross over the friendship bridge as they pledge to be kind and respectful. I went to the school, the Educational Resources for Children, and I met with some of the kids on it, in the program, and they were just, kids are the new generation, and we have to build upon letting them know they are loved, they are cared for, they can express themselves, how to redirect the anger into something positive, how to, express empathy, compassion. So that is one of the projects we are working with, the Educational Resources for Children. We also have a leadership program that we fund at the Asnuntuck Community College for women's leadership program. And then we also do the foundation, the women's shelter. So I feel like with domestic violence and anger, and like we were talking about toxic masculinity, it's educating the public, being aware. And it's not just the children, it's not just the men, it's teaching society.
Yeah. I agree.
People need accountability, learning to respect others, respect themselves. So we are looking for a project to do every year in a different school system. So we're looking for programs. So if any input is welcome. And,
okay. Wonderful. That's great work you're doing, and it's, even though it's at a local level, it's a model, and it's something that we all can do within our local school systems. And you're right, it starts with our children. It really does. It starts with the awareness, the education. You be able to teach others and teach them to teach themselves in some ways to be aware of what's going on around them or within them, especially within them. Yeah. Because it's that trigger that if you don't understand what's inside you, who knows what's going to happen.
and to use their voice, to use their voice, that they are heard. I was raised with children are seen and not heard. That was how it was way back.
Oh, yeah.
But they do matter. Children matter. They have a voice. They should be able to learn how to express themselves. And it's okay to have a meltdown. It's okay to cry and feel sad and even feel mad. It's not okay to say
and hold it
don't
inside.
Feel that way.
Right. I agree. Agreed. Because it's not good to hold that all inside.
Right.
I can vouch for that as a personal person, as a personal history of that. That's great. I mean, what it all does is all of this information, all this becoming aware of yourself, becoming aware of what's going on within you, and be able to learn how to express it, all builds peace.
Exactly.
It really does. And having inner peace, having that feeling of being able to be powerful enough, or actually, I'm not saying power in a pejorative way or a power over kind of dynamic, but it's more power with. I mean, it's helping each other to be able to be more prosperous as a nation. I'm plugging my our planetary peace, power, and prosperity. But it helps us to be more effective as a society. And so, SHEILA, it's been wonderful speaking with you.
This has been great,
It's
Duncan.
been an honored. You've had some great things to say and some wonderful teachings for us. And so I really appreciate everything you have to say. Again, this has been Duncan McCLINTOCK speaking with SHEILA Rivest, a dear friend and the founder and director of Carol Rivest Memorial Foundation. And we are going to be off in a couple minutes. And thank you so much for your time and your wonderful wisdom.
Thank you for having me.
And that beautiful smile, by the way.
Thank you. And we are all a work in progress.
Yes, we are.
Change is growth.
That's right. And it's inevitable, actually.
Yes. And the way we look at it and react to it, either in our work or play or whatever, it is inevitable. And
it's key to be able to react in a way that is nurturing to others.
Exactly. Thank you again.
It's been a blessing. Thank you.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Hello, welcome back. This is Duncan McCLINTOCK with Planetary, Peace, Power, Prosperity. We are with you live on YouTube and Facebook through BBM Global Network. I'd like to speak a little bit about the host for next week's call, Angelica Christie. She's a naturopathic doctor, the CEO of Radiant Clinic Ltd. Of Bahamas. She is a champion for women of a certain age who are at the crossroads in their lives and ready to create a better future according to their highest potential possibility, personally and in their chosen line of work. Angelica is a trendsetter in personal development, a storyteller, and a dynamic speaker on the international stages. She says that mature women are the pillars of a new consciousness and need to take an active role in the future of humanity. Amen. Angelica owns a podcast station with Big Media USA, and she is a humanitarian and rule breaker. She breaks rules for justice, freedom, love, and to be true to herself. She's a best-selling author of 6 books and lives in Bahamas, is married with 5 children and 9 grandchildren. The theme for Dr. Angelica's shows will be helping women over 50 move into global leadership. In her first show, she'll give an overview of what her show is all about and a reason why it is important to prepare women over 50 for global leadership. I'll be looking forward to that show. Anyway, it has been my honor to be with you today. And I am Duncan McCLINTOCK, a soulful walker working with Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity Legacy Foundation. And we have been working on, or speaking on, BBM Global Network and streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Anyway, I'd like to talk a little bit about what we've gone through. Sheila and I spoke a lot about toxic masculinity, actually toxicity, and I would rather, my next show, which will be in the second week of October, will be about authenticity. So the authentic male, and actually authentic female as well, the ability to be authentic to yourself and to others. It's a nice way to focus. So anyway, it's been a blessing being with you. Thank you very much for having me and for being in your life.
This has been Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. Listen each week as 4 unique co-hosts, Dr. Janet Smith Warfield, Duncan McClintock, Angelica Christie, and Carolyn McGee will help to bring peace, power, and prosperity into your own life. Let's create, co-create, and manifest a peaceful, powerful, prosperous planet together and forever.
You've been listening to the BBM Global Network. The ideas, views, and opinions of this broadcast are those of the participants of the program and are not necessarily the ideas, views, and opinions of the BBM Global Network Company.